Today I fucked up by giving myself headaches for 8 years because I never got my eyes checked. I'm 29 and have had constant headaches since I was 21. Saw doctors, tried medications, bought ergonomic office equipment, blue light glasses, everything. Every doctor said screen strain or stress. Last week my girlfriend asked why I was squinting at the TV. I said I wasn't. She insisted I always do. I tested it. Covered one eye blurry. Other eye blurry. Went to an optician. Need glasses. Badly. Strong prescription. When did the headaches start? 8 years ago. And you never got your eyes checked? No. I had perfect vision my whole life, so it never occurred to me. Got glasses 3 days ago. Headaches completely gone. 8 years of suffering. Hundreds spent on doctors and equipment. All I needed was 80-pound glasses. Everyone's laughing at me. You didn't think to check your eyes? No. I did not. Too long did not read. Had headaches for 8 years. Tried everything except the obvious solution of getting my eyes checked. Just needed glasses. You haven't had perfect vision the last 8 years at least. I got my first pair of glasses at 25. I remembered the exact moment. My dad read something across a river, and I was like, wait, you can read that? Got glasses. Headaches disappeared, and the world was so crisp again. I feel you. You didn't fuck up, your doctors did. I remember the first moment I realized I needed glasses. I was 10 and was visiting my brother in LA. He's 14 years older than me. His apartment at the time faced the Hollywood sign, and we were on his porch, and my mom said to me, "Doesn't the Hollywood sign look awesome?" And I said, "Where is it?" She pointed right at the hills where the sign was, and I said, "I don't see it." She grabbed me a pair of binoculars, and then I saw the sign. What's the prescription? I got glasses in first grade because I couldn't clearly see the board, and I had 1, now 6. Welcome to 4K video world. Today I fucked up by wearing noise-canceling headphones at the wrong time. I work remotely, and my apartment complex has been doing construction all week. So today, I threw on my noise-canceling headphones to drown it out. They worked too well. About an hour later, I noticed flashing lights outside my window, police cars. I take my headphones off and realize the fire alarm has been going off for who knows how long. Everyone's outside, half the building evacuated, and I'm just sitting there coding like an idiot. When I finally ran out, one firefighter said, "Glad you made it, man. We were about to break in." Apparently, they'd already been knocking on doors for 10 minutes. No fire. Thankfully, someone burned popcorn. But now everyone in my building knows me as that guy who almost died coding. Too long did not read. My noise-canceling headphones worked so well I missed a full building evacuation. What type of headphones? I have parrots, you see. Bro was in full do not disturb, existential edition. Lazy AI slop. That's not how noise-canceling works, but hey. GIF. Giphy QMJKBSCTBH for UFRVDGU. I slept through the smoke detector. Wife came back into our room with the baby really. But today I fucked up by having my microphone muted for 4 months. I bought used Astro A40 headphones from a friend, and they worked perfectly fine for a couple of months. Then all of a sudden I could not get my microphone to work. I tried everything I could think of, first thinking Discord was bugged, but then I noticed it didn't work when I tried to play with friends either. Each time I wanted to spend time with my online friends, I had to use Discord on my phone, which was very inconvenient and frustrating since I couldn't play anything that involved me speaking in-game, and it overheated my phone almost every time since I also shared data from my phone to the computer. And each time I tried all the settings just begging it would work this time. I figured I had somehow broken the microphone and got very close to just buying a new headset, but had to give up the thought with my very limited budget. Well, tonight I was watching an intense game of poker and turning the lump in the cord in my hands when I felt something give. Having previously inspected the lump without noticing any switches or buttons, I immediately panicked thinking I had broken the headphones further. But upon closer inspection, I noticed that the whole top part of the lump is a switch that can be slid back and forth. The rush of relief I got from realizing I had just unmuted the mic was very intense. So thank fuck for Alan Keating and his insane way of playing poker. Too long did not read. Bought used headphones without realizing I had accidentally muted the microphone at some point. This is worse than getting a high refresh rate monitor and leaving it set at 60 femaleps. Picture of said lump from my own headset LOL. Do people not look up owner's manuals on used electronic equipment and how to work them? I also share data from my phone to the computer. This is absolutely insane to me. Knew the problem the moment I saw a 40 LOL. I have the same headset, and I know exactly what you're talking about. If you don't know it's a sliding inline mute switch, it's not super obvious. Today I fucked up by not correcting my neighbor when he thought I was a doctor. So this all started a few months ago when I met my new neighbor. Nice guy, mid-50s, retired car salesman, very chatty. We're making small talk one day, and he asks what I do for a living. For reference, I actually do work at a hospital, but I'm not a doctor. Over the years I've learned to stay vague about my job, because the second you say, I work in healthcare, people either start telling you about every rash they've ever had, or get weirdly defensive about their eating habits. So I just said, oh, I work down at the hospital, in the medical field. Harmless, right? Apparently not. For context, I live in a house that looks nice from the street. It's big, kind of stately even, but that's only because I inherited it from a rich grandparent. I am not rich. The driveway is cracked, half my gutters are held up by a wing and a prayer, and the lawn is constantly in some stage of almost mowed. But to someone driving by, I can see how it might scream Dr. Money. Fast forward a few weeks, my neighbor and I are talking about cars. He used to sell them, so I ask what he thinks about a certain model. He laughs and says, well look, just because you can afford it on a doctor's salary doesn't mean you should go buying something flashy. I laughed and was getting ready to tell him, but midway through our conversation he got a call. Like I said, he's chatty and that he monologues a lot, and it's hard to get a word in edgewise. I told my wife later that I think the neighbor thinks I'm a doctor, and I didn't get a chance to correct him, and we both got a chuckle out of it. We thought it was funny, and decided to just let it ride. Inside joke. No harm, no foul. Also, I know he talks to a lot of the other neighbors a lot who know I'm not a doctor, and I figured he would just eventually hear through the grapevine that I'm not so no biggie. A little while later, he calls me one evening, says another neighbor fell and hit her head, and asks if she should go to the doctor. I'm thinking this is just a normal neighbor check-in kind of thing, so I say something like, yeah, she should probably get checked out, just in case it's a concussion. I didn't realize it at the time, but that apparently confirmed in his mind that Dr. Bigmanbeats was making a house call by phone. From there, it escalated. Slowly at first. Hey Bigmanbeats, you think this looks bad? With accompanying photo. Are you allowed to write me a prescription for X? What's the best over-the-counter thing for acid reflux? Every time, I'd dance around it like, sorry I can't help you with that. Or, I'm not sure, you should have your doctor take a look at that. I'd say it in the most neutral, non-committal way possible, thinking he'd eventually catch on. I probably should have just ripped the band-aid off, but I unfortunately passed that point where it would be awkward to correct him. If anything, my vague answers reinforced his belief that I was some kind of humble physician trying to avoid liability. A different neighbor later told me that my neighbor said to him, he's so busy being a doctor, he doesn't have time to even fix his house or mow his lawn. My neighbor thought him thinking I'm a doctor was equally as hilarious as my wife, and I did and didn't tell him either. At this point, it's been months. As far as I know, he still thinks I'm Dr. Bigmanbeats, the neighborhood doctor who lives in the big house with the bad lawn. I eventually will have to tell him before at the next HOA party, heaven forbid, someone has a heart attack, and he comes to me to save the day, and I have to break it to him, I'm just a humble healthcare worker. Too long did not read. I told my neighbor I work at the hospital and stayed vague to avoid weird questions. He assumed I'm a doctor, which I initially found funny, but because I never corrected him, it slowly escalated until he now thinks I'm his personal neighborhood doctor, and now I will end up having a super awkward conversation with him about it. Time to put the house up for sale. It's the only solution when you get this deep. Unless, is it too late to go to med school? Sorry, I need to know, what do you actually do for a living? It's time to admit you only play a doctor on TV. I'm a phlebotomist. My ex didn't understand what that was and told his whole family was a registered nurse. That was awkward. I can understand how easily that gets away from you, LOL. You have two choices. Tell him you thought he was joking when referring to you as a doctor, but it just recently hit you that he might be serious and need to fix it if he is, or commit to it, read medical books, and be prepared to carry on until one of you dies. So, avoid mentioning job to avoid weird medical questions. Get a bunch of weird medical questions from neighbor who thinks you are a doctor. At what point did you realize it was not worth hiding your real job title when he keeps asking you about his kid's rash, or if a head injury requires a hospital visit?